And Tom Cole, he's a Republican from Oklahoma. Congressman, thanks for taking a few minutes with us here. Let me ask you about this issue of the administration's action here on transgender access to bathrooms. Again, this is an order that was put in place originally by the Obama administration. Trump administration says we're not going to adhere to that order. Here's Sean Spicer, a little bit more of how he defended that action. Take a listen.
The president was asked at one point, Caitlyn Jenner was in Trump Tower, and he said, that's great. That's consistent with everything he said. It's a states' rights issue. And that's entirely what he believes, that if a state wants to pass a law or a rule, or an organization wants to do something in compliance with the state rule, that's their right. But it shouldn't be the federal government getting in the way of this.
So, Congressman, that term states' rights issue. Now, the other side of this says this is not a states' rights issue. This is a civil rights question. Which is it to you, a civil rights issue or a states' rights issue?
Well, I actually would say it's a local rights issue, quite frankly. Look, when this order, quote unquote, it wasn't really an executive order. It never went through that process. It wasn't a rule. It was an opinion issued by two attorneys in the Department of Education Civil Rights Division. And it impacted thousands of school districts across the country. I actually agree very much with the president. These decisions need to be made locally. The threat at the time was, if you don't do what we say in every school district in America, we'll take away federal funding. What's federal funding for in local schools? It goes for the free lunch program for kids that are needy. It goes to special needs children that have disability. We really going to take away money from needy children, either hungry children or kids with special challenges, because we disagree? Bathroom policy in some local school? It was ridiculous federal overreach, and I think the president did the right thing.
Well, let me ask you, supporters of what the Obama administration put in place to begin with say, look, this is a simple matter of fairness. This is statistics out there, studies out there showing that transgender students say they feel bullied. Many transgender students say they feel bullied. So as a simple matter of fairness, give them access to the bathroom of their choice. That shouldn't be... It shouldn't vary by local community or by state. That's more of a simple matter of fairness. Why isn't it?
Well, frankly, I think, first of all, bullying is never acceptable under any circumstances. And sadly, I don't think this would have dealt with that very much. I think some of it would still go on. But the people that can deal with it best are actually the teachers and local administrators and school boards. And frankly, I don't think they're in sympathy with bullying either. So, you know, I think there's an effort here to relate something that's unrelated together. And I just, again, to me, these decisions are much better made locally. Again, this didn't go through a rulemaking process. It was stopped by the courts, frankly, even before the president took his action today. So not everything needs to be decided in Washington, D.C. If you want to be a local school board person, run for the local school board. If you want to make these cases and decisions, they should be made there, close to the people. They shouldn't be dictated by a bureaucrat 2,000 miles away that may not have any practical experience whatsoever in running a school.
Also some news today from John Kelly, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. He's offering his opinion, his view of the rollout of Donald Trump's new regulations, new order, I should say, on deportations. He says this does not amount to mass deportation. Let's listen to that.
Let me be very, very clear. There will be no, repeat, no mass deportations. Everything we do in DHS will be done legally and according to human rights in the legal justice system of the United States.
Do you agree with that? Because what critics have been saying here is, hey, you look at these new guidelines on deportations that are put in place, at least theoretically under them, if somebody is stopped for something as simple as driving without a license, could be subject to deportation. Do you agree with the characterization this will not be mass deportation, or do you have a concern about that?
I do. No, look, I have a lot of respect for General Kelly. I think he served this country, his family served this country with great distinction. I think he tends to speak with great clarity. I think this, again, is something that's been whipped up. The president has said we're going to focus on people that have committed crimes, the kind of people that we wish had never come here in the first place. And I think folks are overreading what he said. said. Now, he's going to be a lot tougher on enforcement. Actually, I think most Americans agree about border security. There's not a big disagreement. So, you know, adding extra barriers, putting extra, you know, ICE officials in place, those are things that I think most Americans agree with. And then once Americans think their borders are secure, I think they'll deal with the rest of the problems associated with illegal immigration. But until you reach that point, you know, we're going to continue to have a political discussion and dialogue in the country.
Well, I'm curious what you used to run the Republican Congressional Campaign Committee. You've got all these Republican members of Congress going back to their districts right now, having these town hall meetings, being greeted by large, raucous crowds. They're upset about the direction the country's moving under Donald Trump. What is your advice to a member of Congress, to a Republican member of Congress, going home and facing this?
Well, I think first that you actually are polite and nice and listen to people that have a legitimate concern. And they're exercising their rights. You hold a town hall, then anybody's allowed to come. You have public meetings. Obviously, people are going to come to those, and they should. And take a listen to what they have to say. On the other hand, don't be afraid if somebody's push back. People don't like folks that are rude at meetings, and stand your ground on issues if, you know, you disagree with a particular point that's made, but do it respectfully and politely. These town hall meetings aren't any tougher than the ones that happened during the Tea Party summer of 2009, and I can tell you, as a guy that went through that, again, those were not easy meetings, no matter which side of the issue you happen to be on. But again, at the end of the day, each member knows their district well. They operate in it pretty well, and they have a pretty good idea how to handle these situations.
All right, Congressman Tom Cole, Republican from Oklahoma. Thanks for the time.